What's up, everybody? It's the Sport Aces podcast here. Chris Ortega here. Tom Bucciferro here. Live from snowy Connecticut. It's a lot of
Yeah,
snow outside. Look at Tom rocking his favorite team hat. New York Jets. I think they're gonna be closing in on a deal with Aaron Glenn. So I can't wait to see that news pop out sooner or later. Tom, how you feeling today, man?
dude, I'm feeling good. Yeah, like you said, crazy snow. Sunday was
Yeah.
crazy. Sunday night I was in Hartford and it was pissing snow.
It
So
was crazy because my boy Ant, he was up here for the weekend. We went out to B-Dubs on Saturday, watched the Lions and Commanders game. Crazy way to see how that playoffs went. But then Sunday we just did some chill stuff, man. Went to Chili's for the first time in a long time, actually, bro. I
Philly's is
ain't go-
fire.
I ain't gonna lie, man. Chili's is an underrated spot, man. And I need to do a
Especially on Sunday.
poll. I need to do a poll to ask women where are some restaurants that's a no-go for dates. I want to get a woman's perspective on it. But if you here listening, go ahead and subscribe, like, comment on the episode, and share it to anybody, all your friends and family to check out this episode and the previous episodes from this past year. Man, so we're gonna start off with the national championship game, Ohio State versus Notre Dame. Man, I'm gonna be honest. This really saved Ryan Day legacy. This really saved his legacy at Ohio
100%.
State.
100.
Because when you think about the teams he had and the players he had, if he didn't win, I would have been like, he need to be fired. You just got
There's still people saying that he should still be fired, which I think is stupid, but
I think now, no, I think now he kind of solidified his stay. He just brought them a national title. He solidified his stay at Ohio State.
about time, bro.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Like now he need to beat Michigan. Now that's something he need to fucking do is beat fucking Michigan. Once he can do that, he'll be good. I think the problem is if he don't beat Michigan, he's gonna remind me of the head coach of Ohio State when John Cooper. He was the head coach for the Ohio State Buckeyes in the 90s where A. George was there. And he didn't really think, Michigan was a big deal. He was like, it was just another game. And
No.
Michigan fucking won every game. I think he only won like 2 or 3 games against Michigan, but he got like a lot of bowl games.
Yeah, I mean, it that game, the final score was not an indication of that game for me at all. Ohio State dominated pretty much until the fourth, and then Notre Dame started to crawl back into it a little bit, but for about 3.5 quarters, Ohio State completely dominated that game. I mean, Notre Dame had a great opening drive. They scored Riley
Yeah.
Leonard. Riley Leonard, I think that game showed that Riley Leonard could be a pro prospect. He showed poise when they were down. He threw the ball better than expected. He's a running quarterback as well. So, I mean, if anything, that game improved Riley Leonard's stock a little bit, I think.
And
If he,
it wasn't like no bad stats. It was actually great stats against
yeah,
a
I mean,
top
really,
defense.
yeah, Ohio State's defense is just different, man. Like they've been good all year, and props to Notre Dame for even getting there in the first place. Like they had to go through some good teams to even have a chance to play for the national title. So I mean that's and they made bank off of it since they don't have a conference, so they made all that money for themselves. All that 20
Yeah.
million straight to Notre Dame. So
Indeed, man. Like, you know, I know everybody's probably wondering, did this change the view of Marcus Freeman? I don't think this changed the view of Marcus Freeman. I think Marcus Freeman is a phenomenal coach. For him to bring Notre Dame to where they at into the national championship game, that's huge.
Well,
They
especially after they lost to NIU.
Yeah, like once they lost to NIU, everybody was like, "Oh, he should be fired. Oh, they might not make it to the college football playoffs." But
They won out.
that's
So
all they had to do, man. And for the Buckeyes, congrats to the Buckeyes. Um, Now it's just seeing, the future of the prospects you see on the Ohio State team. I'm gonna be honest, Jeremiah Smith is by far one of the best receivers in college football.
oh yeah, and he still got 2 more
Like
years.
him and Ryan Williams at Alabama, I swear, when that draft class come out, that's gonna be that's going. I pray it be like the '96 class in the NFL when it was the wide receiver year, where it was like, whoa, you can get anybody at wide receiver, and it's
I
gonna
mean,
be
yeah,
like great.
we'll see what Jeremiah does with a new quarterback, but I'm sure he'll do just fine. I mean, they schemed a couple of plays up for him last getting the national championship because against Texas he got shut down.
Yeah,
Well,
but that's just he's young, so like he a freshman, he's just trying to understand like ways he could get open, and I think Texas,
he's only going to get better for sure.
yeah, he's gonna get better. And I think going against a Texas secondary that's very upperclassmen, all of them been there before. They faced top receivers before, so it
Oh
wasn't
yeah,
like you're no different. And having their best corner on them, hey, it was a big deal. So congrats to the Buckeyes. Can't wait to see how this next college football playoffs play out next year. But speaking of playoffs, man, we gotta go to we're gonna go Saturday day. We're gonna go Saturday. Chiefs versus Texans. That game, I was watching it. I get the people who feel some type of way about the penalties being called, the flags being thrown. But at the end of the day, like you can blame the refs, but at the same time, y'all was not protecting CJ Stroud. CJ Stroud, they had no time to throw the ball. Nobody was blocking. Like, what? I don't know, man. I just feel like CJ Stroud was just struggling this game.
it's just the Chiefs, man. They've been here before. Mahomes undefeated in the divisional round, 7-0. So I mean, it was a tough game for anybody in that environment,
Eight
and
sacks, man.
yeah,
Eight
you can't. It's hard
sacks.
to win a game when you give up 8 sacks. You're just giving up field position all day long. I mean, the Texans defense had a valiant effort. Will Anderson is a beast, though. That guy's a
No.
game winner.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
All
Like
knew that. I mean, now that he's on, the primetime playoff stage and everybody's watching, and he performed
it goes back
phenomenal.
it goes back to what I said before, man. You know, it's all about how can you win the game.
The
And
Chiefs
my
are the best
and
at that. That's the
Mahomes
thing.
find a way to win.
And he didn't
That's
even really have to throw. That's the thing. Like everybody's like, oh, he doesn't really his stats don't look great on paper. He don't need to. Like Travis Kelsey had a phenomenal performance. He threw back the clock in
yeah.
the game.
I think
What happened?
that was a trend these playoff games. Besides like the Lions and Commanders games, all the other quarterbacks was like actually didn't really throw the ball
Well,
past
also you
200
have to factor
yards.
in factor in the weather,
Yeah.
knowing running backs had huge performances all across the board. So
Uh, let me tell you, I just want to know whoever bet on anytime touchdowns, because my God, let's go fast forward to the Commanders and Lions game. Because my God, first of all, congratulations to Ben Johnson going to the Bears as their new head
yeah,
coach. I think who called it? Was it you who called it?
yeah. I said well, I mean, it was pretty much set in stone. But yeah, I said he was going to go to the Bears. But
Yeah, yeah, man. Because my God, like He going there with new guy. He looks happy for some reason. He looks happy. So it may be because he get a new guy named Caleb Williams and not Jared Goff. Because Jared fucking Goff, three fucking picks. Come on, man. See, that is the one guy that was going to prevent the Lions from going far. Is the turnovers, man. Jameer
They,
Gibbs is amazing. Let me just get that out the way.
oh yeah, Lions had what, five turnovers, four turnovers? Because Golf fumbled, three picks, and then JMO had a pick too. So I think they had five turnovers, and the Commanders had zero.
Yeah,
Yeah, Jameer Gibbs that guy's a beast, man. Like the whole game, I was texting everybody, being like, "Yo, Jameer Gibbs is like disgusting. Like he's just break. He was averaging about 10 yards a carry for the first two or three quarters. Like
yeah.
every time he got the ball, just explosive play after explosive play. But the Commanders, man, what a story! Just an incredible story, man.
What
Jayden
was
Daniels, dude. I said it. I said it while I was watching the game. He might be the best rookie quarterback I've ever watched. Like seriously, like the
better than
dude is.
CJ Stroud last year?
Oh, dude, 100%. He's the poise in the big moments, like nothing phases this kid. Like he can do everything. Like that throw, I think it was when they were already leading. I think it was 24-21. The throw he made to De'Ami Brown when there was two guys on him, just dropped it
Oh,
right in the basket. Just amazing. And Dan Quinn, bro, he just goes for it, dude. It was the battle of the coaches that go for everything. And the Commanders had the best fourth down offense in the NFL this year. And
man.
Brian Robinson Jr. had a hell of a game as well.
Hell yeah. Like he was like they couldn't really stop the run at all.
I
Like,
mean, neither team could stop anything, to be honest with you. Well, I mean,
yeah.
The Commanders might have had five turnovers, but
I felt like I felt like we was gonna get like a high shooting, like a high scoring games from one of these playoff games. Gonna give us a high scoring game, and this was the one which involved the Commanders. Crazy enough, but it's just interesting to see, man. Like the biggest thing that I took away from it is, you know, you allowed 521 yards, even though you got five turnovers as a defense. 521 yards is a lot of yards given up, and just know coming up this week, gotta go against Saquon, you know, and the Eagles. And speaking of the Eagles, them facing the Rams, you know, uh,
I've been saying it, dude. All you have to do is hand the ball off. Saquon's just different. Give him, dude. Everybody was saying in New York, like, oh, like Saquon's not the same. Like he's not the best. And then give him a half decent offensive line, and he's the best player we've ever seen.
I just want to know and look at the faces of the executives in them offices for the Giants. I want to know how sick they are. Realizing you literally let Saquon go to the fucking Eagles and have a career year. Possibly might win the Super Bowl. It's just you can't write this story up, man. You really can't write this better. Like this is just hysterical, man. Like my God, bro. But I ain't gonna knock the Rams too much because Stafford was throwing the fuck out that ball in the snow. Let me just say that. Stafford was not too bad with the throwing, but you could tell age is getting to him. And he's right now debating if you want to be in the league next year or just retire. Personally, I think he should leave on top. 'Cause I think he gave a lot to the game. I think he could just leave gracefully. Because, hey, he brought a Super Bowl to LA. You know, nobody can say that. Like,
It would just be interesting to see how they replace him.
because like the only scenario I can see is if he don't retire, you gonna have to draft a quarterback for any reason. You have to draft a quarterback. But is it gonna be he's your starter and then the quarterback you draft this year be the starter going forward, or is it like he retire and whoever you draft might need to be your day one starter, or you pick up a free agent in the free agency for quarterbacks and then go ahead and try to develop them like how they tried to do with Sam Darnold and JJ McCarthy.
Well, I mean, there's a guy that you just mentioned him, Sam Darnold. He's going to be a free agent. The Vikings are going to move on from him most likely because they're ready to turn the page. They're ready to move on to JJ. So, I mean, why not take a shot on him? He's gonna. Someone will pay Darnold. Like somebody. There's a lot of teams like we've
The
discussed
Raiders, the
that
Raiders,
need a quarterback. Yeah, but the Raiders are probably going to take a quarterback, I'd say.
who they gonna get?
But it's true.
Because like outside the top three teams need a quarterback, so it's like where he's gonna go.
Well, apparently, Jackson Dart is rising up draft boards, apparently. So I wouldn't be surprised if he gets taken a lot earlier than people expect, because apparently he's been having a very good, like, pro days and all that stuff
Like
and
Senior Bowls,
senior bowls. Yeah, like
yeah, that do play a part.
apparently he's been looking pretty good. I mean, he was good in college, but he could rise up draft boards. But yeah, the Rams more than likely will draft somebody in this next draft, even if Stafford doesn't retire. So, because they're going to need somebody to replace him. And Stetson Bennett is not an NFL quarterback. I'm sorry. Like, he's just not. He's just not an NFL quarterback. But people
Amen.
were saying, hey, I mean, there's some decent backup QBs out there. Mariota's not a bad backup. I'd say
He's
give him an
not.
and we're into that era of the league where the mobile slash, like Jayden Daniels and Lamar archetypes. I'm not saying Mariota is anywhere at that level, but with a coach like McVay to help develop, you never know. Maybe Mariota could get another shot. I mean, honestly, I wouldn't. The Commanders probably won't get rid of him because he's been a good mentor to Jayden Daniels. But I don't know. I'd say maybe give one of those backups a shot. But anyway, yeah. I mean, the Eagles. You mentioned, not passing a lot. Jalen Hurts only had what, like 130 yards,
Yeah,
and it
yeah.
was just a run game, man. Saquon rushed for 200 yards against the Rams twice this season. Like there was a graphic. It was like running backs that rush for 200 yards against the team, and then face them again the next season. They all the same season. They all were under 100 yards until Saquon just went off again. Like two 60+ yard TDs in the same game. Like he's done that like 3 or 4 times this year. It's insane.
It's just crazy,
He
man.
did it 4 times against the Rams alone. Like
But it's
he loves
just
playing the Rams, man.
hey man, you gotta be a game breaker somehow, and that's the team that pushes that that potential to seeing the Eagles can go far. But enough about the Eagles. That night game, Ravens versus Bills.
Depressing for me, man. I wanted the Ravens so bad.
I wanted the Ravens too, but that first half, we gotta do better, bro. That first half performance. So for the people who feels the way they feel about the game, if I'm going to consider you a potential three-peat MVP, you have to perform at top tier level where you can't make mistakes, unfortunately. That's just the pressure where it is. You can't make mistakes in the game.
No, you can't.
And you do the pick, which was like, okay, I don't think they made any like big points or touchdowns at the turnover, but it's the picks, the fumble, Mark Andrews dropping the catch, fumbling. It's the mental errors that's like what's bothering me because it's like we need to do better in these moments. Josh Allen didn't even throw the ball like that, but running the ball just tried to pout his way through the line. And then the running backs, I one thing I would commend the Bills about, they do have like a good solid three running back rotation. That's the one thing I would commend them on for their running back rotation
Oh
over.
yeah, they got a great three-headed monster over there. Because
Like,
Ty Johnson, like they sub him in passing downs. Ray Davis is a strong young back. James Cook's, he's still definitely like. I mean, this year he had what 16 touchdowns in the regular season. Like,
yeah,
I mean, he didn't. The thing about James Cook is like, yeah, he didn't rush for like a lot of yards, but he gets in the end zone because he's just a compliment. Josh Allen is, you know, he's the threat. Like he runs the
yeah.
ball, like he escapes the pocket. The escapability of Josh Allen is what makes the Bills such a threat. I mean, y'all saw when they played the Chiefs the first time, even. Like Josh Allen is such a threat because you don't know what he's gonna do. Like he can improvise, take time in the pocket, find a guy open for 30 yards, or just run over your best middle linebacker because he's such a beefy guy. He's like what 6'5", like 240. Like the guy's he's something we really never really seen at the QB position. Like that amount of speed, that amount of strength at the quarterback position. Like I mean, Jalen Hurts also has that strength and speed.
Hmm.
But Josh Allen he's just different. Like he's just a different animal.
Nah, man. Josh Allen is like, believe it or not, I feel like since the Ravens lost, I think Josh Allen can get get all the critics, silence all the critics if he wins this weekend.
100%.
Because it's going to be such a huge deal because, you know, you're going against Mahomes again. And the theory is to never beat Mahomes in the postseason. But you're going to Arrowhead, hostile environment. It's going to be tough. 6:30 at night. It's going to be super cold. It might snow, depending. So, you know, then you got the Eagles versus Commanders. Commanders going to Philly. It's gonna be interesting, man. This conference championship, sorry, should be interesting.
I mean, it's just crazy to me that the Commanders are actually here. Like I was talking about it like last week. I was like, oh yeah, it'd be sick to see the Commanders beat the Lions, but there's just and then they just walked in there like they own the place.
Like
And they've already
people,
played the thing is they've played the Eagles now 3 times this year. So it's like
who's
that's gonna
going
be a tough.
who's gonna be the people who really the top dog in the NFC East now?
And Terry McLaurin has his story like this year, he has been terrible against the Eagles. I think he's had like 5 yards total. So I mean, if you take him out of the equation, that's a huge part of your receiving game gone. But De'Ami Brown, man, talk about him. Like he's been phenomenal in the playoffs. Like he's got more. He's got 89. He had 98 yards in the first game, or 98 yards against the Lions, 89 yards in the first game. Like it's probably the best he's ever played in his career. So I mean, he's definitely somebody that you can watch out for. And then Zach Ertz is, security blanket for Jayden Daniels. He always goes to him in the big moments. And then Brian Robinson and Eckler. Eckler had a good game. Everybody
Underrated
talking
game. Underrated.
underrated game. He started off the game with that 23-yard reception, and he was getting good runs. Like he's a good solid backup too. Change the pace back for him. And then McNichols even. They got three good running backs. Thing is the Eagles like it's just a run game. It's just so good because you got Hurts with a threat to run. Gainwell's a decent receiving back, and then obviously Saquon's best back in the league right now, in my opinion. It's not really
But
close.
but I think they ain't gonna try to. I don't think Hurts gonna try to run too much this go
Especially
around.
if you get hurt.
I think he's gonna probably. I think Saquon. It's gonna be all on Saquon this go around.
Well, the thing is, like I feel like in order for the Eagles to win this game, Hurts has to throw the ball. The first two games he hasn't had to throw it, but I feel like in this game you're gonna need to throw the ball because the Commanders can score quick, and it's gonna be one of those games where I think it's gonna be bad. I mean, so could the Rams as well. I mean, the Rams obviously they put up a fight. But the Commanders are just such a they have so much momentum right now that is going to play a huge factor. Like nobody in the entire population besides Commanders fans thought they were going to be here. So it's like they got the country behind them right now. Everybody's like, "Yeah, Commanders like momentum." And I'm sure Washington fans are going to show up to Philly because it's not that far. Like they'll pop out.
It's
Like
not. It's not. But it's just like who's really like going to risk going to a hostile, game.
especially Philly, especially Philly too.
Yeah, like it's gonna be a hostile game, but I'm gonna be honest, man. I can see the upset happening.
I mean, dude, at this point, like anything's possible. Like you could see a rookie QB in the Super Bowl for the
Like,
first time.
like I can only the reason why I want to see the upset because like it's like the upset for the Eagles is gonna be really interesting overall. I think, as much as like we would think, oh, Saquon taking the Eagles to the Super Bowl, they win it, the story of wow, the Giants really fumbled Saquon, great story. And I think viewership wise, I think a lot of people really only want to see the Eagles versus Chiefs, and I get that. But give me a Super Bowl where it could be Bills versus Commanders. People gonna say it's a boring Super Bowl. Okay, it's plenty
I
of Super
think
Bowls that's been boring.
I
That
think honestly, any of these matchups would not be a boring game. Like even
uh,
like Commanders Chiefs, I feel like could be a good game. Chiefs Eagles would be, it was a classic last time we watched it. Bills Chiefs or Bills Eagles or Bills Commanders. I think all those matchups would be good. I don't think any of the Super Bowl options would be boring this year because all those teams have the ability to put up big points and their defenses are, I mean, besides the Commanders, their defense is a little shaky, but out of those four teams, like the Chiefs, I mean, we all know the story, man. The three-peat Mahomes, like four rings this early in his career would be kind of ridiculous, man. Like you'd have to really start considering the fact that he might have a chance to get up to that status of Tom Brady. I know it's crazy to even mention, but like the way his career is going, like he's on the path. His playoff career is like it's insane how good he is in the playoffs.
it's it says a lot about when he first come into the league, and I want people to realize a lot of people wasn't really high on Pat Mahomes when he first came into the league. Let me just say that because I feel like everybody act like, oh, like they was all for him. Are y'all all for him? Because at the time, 9 teams passed on, which is crazy to think about. Can you think about the teams that passed on? let me go down the 9 teams that passed on, unfortunately.
I mean, we already know one of them's the Bears and the Jets, so
Yeah,
cross those right off the list.
the Bears, the Jets. Who got another quarterback? Man, 'cause y'all got
Bears.
Jamal Adams. That's who y'all got.
I mean, I'm not gonna say that I hated that pick because Jamal was good when he played for us. Ever since he's left the Jets, he's been a
Oh, the Bengals. Oh my God. The Bengals. John Ross.
yeah. But the Bengals got their guy, so like it's fine. Like they didn't
Like
really
years later, like
they got their guy though, so
the
I
Ben.
don't think they're
I don't know, man. 'Cause when you look at like the
the
Browns,
Bears and the Jets got to be hating themselves right now.
you got Miles Garrett. Bears,
Nick
Mitch
Trubisky.
Trubisky. But I don't think Mahomes would have been Mahomes with the Bears, though.
That's true. You have to consider the fact that the Chiefs had Alex Smith, who's a pro. Like that guy's a like.
Yeah.
There was a podcast I watched. It was the Kelsey podcast, and Mahomes credits Alex Smith for showing him the ropes and like showing him what it is to be a pro.
I feel like people really forget about that.
Like Alex Smith, like is a huge reason why Mahomes is like you
Like,
know
like Alex Smith,
he showed him the ropes, man. Really did.
like people forget, before I know everybody's gonna say, well, what did he do in his career? Well, when he went to Kansas City, got his career back on a good note because he was a Pro Bowl his first year in Kansas City. And Kansas City was starting being relevant again. Like Kansas City was relevant again. Then you get a young Mahomes, you know, that's backing up you, seeing like what it takes to be a professional in the league. Even credit
Exactly.
that, I think even on quarterback, on the series, he had credited Alex Smith for his development. So like Alex Smith wisdom and everything, you get Pat Mahomes where like he came onto the scene and boom, he's the man. Like he's the freaking man. Like
I mean, Alex Smith, bro, he had his best season of his career in 2017, the year that I mean, 4,000 yards, like 26 and 5, like that's a damn good year. Like that's Pro Bowl level.
he was a Pro Bowler that year.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. You look at the beginning, like people, yeah, people say a lot, talk a lot of shit about Alex Smith because the beginning of his career, he was awful on the 49ers. Yeah, he wasn't good. But he's another case of you got to let the guy develop and get into the right system. And he did that. And he became, a mid to sometimes high level starter in the NFL for a couple of years. And yeah, like obviously people are going to talk about the Sam Darnold thing where, he was good for most of the year and then, the past two games where he just folded under the pressure, which it really sucks for him because you just saw his contract evaluation just drop off a cliff for those last two games. But like, yeah, you got to give like there's so many stories. Like Geno Smith is not like Rich Gannon. Like the guy showed up in the league and won a Super Bowl when he was like 37. Even yeah, Kurt Warner played arena football, comes
It's
in, becomes one of the best quarterbacks of the early 2000s and wins a Super Bowl, takes the Cardinals to the Super Bowl. Like who the hell would have thought that was possible?
it's crazy that like when you look at nice. Sorry, just updating news that Kevin O'Connell signed a multi-year extension with the Vikings.
Smart move. He's a good coach.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I think was what I would say, man, is the hardest position to really judge from college to NFL would be a quarterback, in my opinion, because it's a huge difference for their throwing in their throwing windows compared to what it was like in college. See, college, if you have like the better athlete, he's gonna get open. If he's the better athlete, the faster athlete, he's gonna get it. But when you got guys that's just as great as athletes on both sides, and that window go from like, yeah, this much of a window to this much of a window to get the ball there. How,
Well, yeah,
what type of throws are you making?
yeah. Well, when you have to also consider the fact that in the NFL, it's every best or like second best player on college teams. Like you got guys that are sitting the bench in the NFL that were stars at the college level.
Oh, 100%.
So
Like,
it's like you have to consider that fact. Like, yeah, you can have a like quarterbacks can be phenomenal. Like Case Keenum, for example, at Houston, disgusting in college. Bailey Zappi, nasty in college, but they played in lower. Like Bailey Zappi is Western Kentucky, I think, or something like that. So it's like they ain't playing top tier college competition. So then when they come to the NFL, they're not going to be, throwing 6,000 yards in a season. Like, I mean, yeah, obviously you had guys like Joe Burrow, who we all knew was going to be disgusting when he entered the league because he threw for, almost 6,000 yards and 60 touch or 50 some touchdowns with LSU, who obviously is in the best conference in college football. But I feel like it's easier to evaluate pro prospects that are in good conferences, but it's still difficult because not even all the SEC top guys make an impact at the next level. Like for example, the Jets drafted a corner from Alabama. His name was D. Milliner. I don't know if any of you guys remember that name. D. Milliner. We drafted him.
that's a name.
So yeah. So for
Wow.
example, like we drafted him from Alabama. He was a corner. He was pretty good in college. Like he was supposed to be, be able to transition well to the NFL. He was terrible for us. He got cooked consistently, and he's out of the league. Been out of the league. This isn't, and then Calvin Pryor, another guy that just drafted from Louisville, was our safety. He was good for a couple years, dropped off the face of the earth. Another guy that the Giants drafted, y'all remember him, Landon Collins, very, very good player for a couple years, dropped off.
I'm gonna give you a quarterback that everybody forgot about, but when you play NCAA, you know who the fuck I'm talking about. Pat White, baby. Ha
That was
ha. Pat White, let me tell you, anything about West Virginia football, that man Pat White name better be number one. Cause that
you know,
offense,
another guy, Tavon Austin, great in college, just didn't transfer to the NFL.
it's and I would say it's because the play style in college is totally different. Where
It was
their
way different.
offensive schemes matter when you see the offensive schemes they coming in. Like
Like
when
you don't even, like you could literally just play like you were talking about. You could play college football and play Madden, and you could just see how different the offenses are. Like there's no triple option in the NFL, rarely. Like there's none of that like speed option. Like yes, teams will run it from time to time. Like the Lions
fucking
are a team where they'll do that bullshit trick play that works.
fucking Joey Harrington for the fucking Lions was
Yeah.
a legend at Oregon, and he wasn't that fucking good. Jamarcus Russell was an LSU legend, and you see what happened in the NFL. Like a lot of these guys, man, it's and like for the people who sit here thinking we just blurting out names because we
Terrell
just think
Pryor.
about it. I
Like I
feel
can
like
name so many guys.
I think the problem with Terrell Pryor, it was the all the shit that happened
I mean, he had a
kind of
he had a,
fucked him up.
he
So
had a
he had
good
to go
year.
to supplementary draft, and then he changed positions, which I ain't gonna lie, he was looking pretty promising at wide receiver.
He had a 1,000 yard year with the
Yeah,
Browns. He was
yeah, like he was looking pretty promising at receiver. Giving him the right like team, he could have been a pretty okay receiver. But he went to the fucking Redskins slash football team slash Commanders, and things didn't really work out to him. The name that I always remember that is going to live in infamy because the fact that Cam Newton made this man irrelevant. Jimmy fucking Clausen. My God. You want $1 million for your fucking number? Fuck out of here, Jimmy Clausen.
Jimmy Clausen was terrible in the NFL.
Fucking
I think he
trash.
barely even stepped foot on the field. He played for Notre Dame in college, and I mean, yeah, he was good, but like, it's like, damn.
No, no, no. Jimmy Clausen wasn't great at fucking Notre Dame. He was lackluster. He was mid. He was more of a
It's just because like Mel Kiper, dude, that, like he's like, oh yeah, Jimmy Clausen's gonna be a great, great
Malachi.
NFL.
Malachi will hype up every fucking body every year. And look where they fuck they at now with some of the picks he be overhyping. Like
Zach Wilson, for example. Just
let, let, let's let, let's not bring that motherfucker out.
well,
But then again,
it's
but
just
then
annoying because we've drafted two guys in the top five within the past 10 years, and they've both completely fizzled out within 2 or 3 years. It's just frustrating as a fan. Like, 'cause you think, oh yeah, we got a young guy. Like, we've seen a lot of young guys have success in the league recently. Like, this might be our chance to actually get a franchise guy. And then, not every player is CJ Stroud or Jayden Daniels or Joe Burrow or, you know,
let like
another name that
like
gets brought. Another name that I love to talk about, and I've been watching a lot of like clips about is Andrew Luck. That guy was so good. Like, he was a football savant. Unfortunately, injuries derailed his career, but Andrew Luck would have been. He was going to be one of them ones.
it's because man, I think people have harsh feelings towards Andrew Luck, but Andrew Luck picked his mind body over the physicality of the game because he knew he wasn't going to play forever. And it's interesting because I think it was like a news story or like a report or some type of news article that caught up with Andrew Luck years later after his decision. And he kind of was like, came to terms with it, like great father, great husband, to his kids, like he's enjoying life. Now he's back at Stanford being a general manager, making sure he produce great athletes to come to Stanford and bring Stanford back into the picture that they once were when he was there. Toby Gerhardt was there. Even Christian McCaffrey was there. So overall, it's just like most of the time you kind of want to choose like it's a lot that goes on with a lot of athletes, like a lot of mental things that happen. Like people, I can say the same thing about RG3. Like RG3, his rookie season was phenomenal, but injuries start to plague him, and then like he wasn't the same anymore. But he was able to be a good mentor for like the guys like the Lamar Jackson when he was at Baltimore. You know, it's just like you always like not to make it seem like oh they're not great players anymore. It's just over time you have to start focusing more on like your body, how much stuff you putting through your body through. Like it's a lot.
I mean, Luke Kuechly also retired early. He
Yeah,
retired at the peak. Like, he was still probably one of the best linebackers in the NFL when he retired. But he chose to preserve himself, which I respect. You have to respect that from a fan standpoint. Like, yeah, it's tough to see one of those greats of the game like give up so early, but football's a physical ass game, and they've been playing it since they were probably 10, 11 years old until they're, early 30s. So it's like 20 years of getting over and over. It just
Constant
takes
collision, your
like
body
that's
is
why
sore.
Brady's career is just so much more impressive because he was in the league until he's 45 years old.
And,
That's just
and
crazy.
it's all about taking care of your body, like outside of the season too. I think that plays a huge role because, like, look
You have
at
to commit. You have to commit.
even Tony Gonzalez when he changed his diet, and look how when he was with the Falcons, he was still looking like his early 20s, still playing. So it's just all about it, man. And you know, I hope everybody know, man. I can't wait to see the next future stars that come into the league this upcoming draft because it's going to be an interesting draft class to see how it play out. Hopefully, I'm somewhere watching the draft, at a sports bar or at somebody's house. Probably have like a whiteboard so we can like take bets on who going there next. So, but other than that, man, any last words for the people, man?
No, man, I'm just excited about this conference championship weekend. Should be good. I'm hoping that, obviously we'd love to see a different team in the Super Bowl. Like I'd love to see a Bills Commanders matchup. That'd be the dream for me. But realistically, it'll probably be fucking Chiefs Eagles like it always is, dude. It's just it's just tough to beat Mahomes, man. It really is.
Yeah, man. Chiefs, Eagles. I'm okay with it.
I mean, it
You
was a
know,
great game the
yeah,
last
it
time.
was. It
It was a
was.
great
It
game,
was.
but
But it's
just rather
like,
see the Commanders in there.
yeah, like I want to see like a new teams being there because I think that one
So
year when we had Bengals and Rams, I ain't gonna lie, that was pretty fun seeing
yeah,
that.
because none of those teams have been there for so long, and the Bengals have never won. So it's like,
Yeah, so it's like, oh, okay,
I mean, yeah, the Commanders were good in the 80s. Like they have three championships to their name from the Joe Gibbs days. But like the Bills, man, they've been there four times and lost all four. Like they've sold their soul to try to win the Super Bowl. Like they deserve it, man. Out of any of the teams left, the Bills deserve it the most.
yeah, and I think that the Bills win it. Like Josh Allen, like I feel like once you win that one, you
It
kind
gets you
of
over the hump.
yeah,
It,
like you over the hump. Like you don't have to worry about too much criticism.
it just takes the pressure off for sure.
Yeah, but man, to conclude this episode, man, everybody, make sure y'all tune in to the upcoming conference championship, man. It's gonna be pretty dope. It's gonna be epic. Um, maybe we might get some upsets, or we may get the basic usual, the usual matchup, Chiefs versus Eagles part two. But to conclude this episode, I'm Chris Ortega,
Tom Bucciafero.
and you're here listening to the Sport Aces podcast. And see you next week.